Hi there, greetings and salutations. My name is Jake Query. That is...
Hi, I'm Derek Schultz.
The very stoic Derek Schultz. And thank you, by the way, to not only Bailey and Wood for their continued support of this program and their philanthropic work throughout Southern Indiana and the great state of Indiana in general, and making sure that everybody is getting the best in terms of their mortgage rates, but also to Mike Wood for filling in last week, Derek.
Yes, we have downgraded on the show, unfortunately. Jake is back, so...
Actually, that's
Hello.
probably true.
Yeah.
That's probably
Hello,
true.
welcome back.
Thank you.
It feels like I haven't seen you in a month.
You missed me, didn't you?
Well, what's weird is that for those of you that don't know at home, we're best friends, and Jake calls me, if not once a day, once every other day.
Okay.
And I didn't hear from you really at all while you were with Shannon in the Netherlands / Amsterdam / Holland /
Holland. You know one thing I learned?
What's that?
I'm going to give you a 30-second synopsis of history that I found fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Amsterdam, when it was originally settled, like 16th century, it was basically wetlands. So in order to dry out the wetlands, they came up with a windmill system to pull water out of the land and push it into canal areas so they could cultivate the areas where they were getting the water out. And the gentleman that came up with that idea, his last name was Amstel, which is why you have Amstel Light Beer. And therefore the city was known as, because they were stopping all the water, the city was originally known as Amstel's Dam.
Oh, and
which
it became
Amsterdam. Yeah.
Interesting.
It was actually pretty interesting. But I also didn't know until I went there, because I always wondered this. And I'm going by one person's story that they told me. So maybe this is wrong, and if it is, I apologize. But he was telling me that in the Netherlands, that's what they call it. And they actually just call it like Netherland. And he was like, I don't know where Holland came from, but here we call it the Netherlands.
We have to look up where Holland came from.
That's right.
There's got to be a origin for that.
But we were in Amsterdam, then we went to Brussels, Belgium, and then we went to Luxembourg.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Well, it's good to have you back. And we get to talk about another Colts victory.
How about
Problem
that?
is that...
Speaking of overseas...
I think, kind of like last week, and you tell me if you agree with this, they won. Good. They're 5-5 going into the bye. They have something to play for. Good. I don't think really there's anything that you can take from the Carolina performance or that performance. I think they were less bad than one of the 3 or 4 worst teams in the NFL.
The Colts now, Derek, have put themselves within position to be in position. They're a half game out of the last playoff spot. But it's because the last 2 weeks they have beaten the worst 2 teams in the league, or the 2 worst teams in the league.
Yeah, the Giants are the only other one that I would consider.
Giants would be in the mix,
I think.
you're right.
It would be the only other one.
But Carolina's really bad.
Yeah.
And certainly the worst team in the AFC would be New England.
New England's terrible.
And that was a game where, you could look at it 2 ways. The first would be, okay, great, they won a pillow fight against the worst team in the AFC. The other way to look at it would be, when you are a good team, you find ways to beat the teams that you are supposed to beat. And that's what they did. When it came down to it, they made the plays necessary to win that game.
I think what's frustrating is that really, and I hate to pin it on one guy, and I'm going to go ahead and pin it on one guy. That's a game with competent quarterback play. They win by 2 touchdowns. With good quarterback play, they win by 4 touchdowns. You had guys running wide open all day. You had guys running wide open the entire day. And there was no pass rush that you had to worry about at all. The offensive line was fantastic all day. And they just couldn't take advantage of that because I don't know what's gotten into him. I think maybe it's the turnovers early has gotten in his head a little bit. But Gardner Minshew is bailing from clean pockets, and he's rushing his process. And he's throwing a lot on the run, and you just can't do that consistently.
Which the weird thing about it, Derek, is that Gardner Minshew, coming into it, is a guy that has a lot of experience in the National Football League.
30th start.
And has thrown for a lot of yards.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a guy that at times has thrown up pretty big numbers. Look, the reality is I think that in a 2 to 3 game stopgap, Gardner Minshew is as good an option as you get in the National Football League. But when you have to start using him for 6, 8, 10 games, then it is the amount of, with any starting quarterback in the NFL, defenses are going to watch tendencies and they're going to find out where the vulnerability is of that quarterback. A quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, you got to watch a ton of tape before you find small little examples of like the anomaly plays where you can disrupt him. as you move down the list of quarterback rankings, the further down you go, the shorter the amount of time before you can find the deficiencies and expose them. And I think in Minshew's case, he has now entered into the arena where there's enough tape on him from this year where teams kind of know what his tendencies are. So it's like, okay, we're going to load the box, beat us with Jonathan Taylor, try. And that's what the Colts offense is limited to now.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate that it sort of sends a ripple effect towards everybody else. Like anyone else, I've been a little underwhelmed with Alec Pierce. But what did Alec Pierce end up with? 1 catch, I think, on Sunday? There were 3 or 4 times where Alec Pierce is just running wide open, like by himself.
Right.
And that's that's not going to show up in the box score. You know what I mean? When we go back and look at it, we'll be like, oh, God, Alec Pierce played a poor game. And it's like, well, no, not really. I mean, with a good quarterback, I think he plays a good game. So I'm just a little disappointed, Jake, because my bar wasn't very high for Gardner Minshew. I didn't expect him to come in and be the reason why the Colts won games, but I also didn't expect him to come in and have to be a guy that is a handicap for the Colts. You know what I mean? A guy that they have to overcome. And lately, he's been a guy, unfortunately, that they've had to overcome. And that doesn't spell good things in a very, very crowded AFC playoff race.
You know, the one thing, and Derek, I don't know if it would be because in the Colts, 2 things might have happened in Frankfurt, Germany. One may be that the Colts ended the Mac Jones era. At least for the Patriots.
Yeah.
You know,
he don't come back from that.
He might get another opportunity elsewhere, but I think Bill Belichick basically said, that's it.
Can you ever remember a quarterback getting benched before a potential game-winning drive?
Correct.
I can't.
I mean,
I don't know.
I thought he was hurt at first.
I don't know if Rake knows or if we've got like Elias Sports Bureau to dig that up. But, well, the Colts players in the postgame thought he was hurt. They're like, oh, I don't know what the injury was. And then everybody's like, no, he wasn't injured.
Right. Well, there might have been cases where Jack Trudeau was put in at the end of games over Jeff George. But
that interception was one of the worst throws I've ever seen. And we've watched, Carson Wentz and Nick Foles and things like that in this town here lately. One of the worst throws that I've seen the last couple of years. I mean, it's a game-winning touchdown for just about anybody. I mean, you take Ben Davis's quarterback, he makes that throw.
Here's the thing, though, Derek. So the Colts, when I said they might have done 2 things on Sunday, the first would be they may very well have ended the Mac Jones era in New England, okay? If that's what took place, and Belichick basically said, that's it. I've seen enough. He's out. Bill Belichick is how old?
Oh, God. 70?
68, 70?
Yeah, let me look.
Okay.
Get an exact age.
When you start over with a new quarterback, you've got to start over from scratch. Everything changes. You're all of it, right?
Yeah, 71.
71 years old. So this now pushes their timeline back another 3 to 4 years, whatever it might be. He ain't gonna be around for that.
Yeah.
So is it possible that the Colts just started the beginning of the end for the Belichick era?
I think the beginning of the end was already happening, but I think they accelerated it.
Yeah.
With Mac Jones, and I think we've probably have tape on this on the show. I was never a Mac Jones guy. I'm never a fan of the guy that gets elevated because of the otherworldly players around him.
Well, but here's the thing, Derek. Understand your point. I mean, I get it. At Alabama, coming out of Alabama, the thought was, is this guy a really good quarterback, or is he a quarterback that was in a system, right, where he had elite receivers and had great players around him? And the thought process in New England was, if in fact he was a system quarterback, that doesn't work in the NFL, except for in a place like New England where we're still trying to figure out if Tom Brady was part of a system that allowed them to win multiple games because they had the greatest coach in the history of the NFL. I think what we've seen now is that actually Tom Brady was the system, and the emphasis we put on Belichick's ability to just plug in another quarterback to keep that system running was not as easy as they thought because Brady was, in fact, that special.
Yeah, and I just think when he wasn't a first-round pick until Alabama had that great season all around him, and then suddenly people were like, hey, Mac Jones, he's pretty good. Let's make him a first-round pick. It's kind of like, okay. But his rookie year, he was fine. I mean, he was solid considering that he was a rookie. And now I think what you saw Sunday is just somebody that's mentally broken, right? Totally. I mean, you looked at him on the sidelines, and it looked like he wanted to cry. And I'm not saying that like in a mean way. I'm saying like right. I think he's broken. And we've seen cases where quarterbacks, David Carr, they break.
Yeah.
And that's what I worry about with Mac Jones.
By the way,
Sorry, I didn't mean to make this show all about Belichick and Mac Jones.
Well, but it's significant because of any franchise that would want to be the one that lands a knockout blow.
Oh yeah, for
it
sure.
would be the Colts.
Yeah,
right?
and there's something like I saw an AFC standings thing tweeted out earlier this morning. We're taping this on Tuesday, and it had all the 4 and 5 teams and up, and then on the very bottom it was the 3-win Titans and the 2-win Pats, and you're just like, hell yeah, brother.
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
the little
right.
Schadenfreude there.
Yeah, that's your favorite word.
Mm-hmm.
So the Colts on the bye week now.
Yep.
If you were a player, what would you do?
Rest my body. Yeah, have somebody like rub buttermilk on my calves, probably. Trainer or something like that. Yeah. Rub up. You've never had your calves rubbed
With buttermilk?
or I mean,
What are you,
I guess,
Louis Meyer?
heavy whipping cream, some sort of a dairy product. And then I have you can't see because I have jeans on, but I have defined calves under here. And you just you take your hand like this and you just kind of massage it into the pores. And I don't know if it like seeps into the muscle fibers. I'm not a scientist or biologist or whatever doctor looks at bones and stuff and muscles. But there's like something to that. I think Aaron Rodgers might have talked about it on a podcast once. And you rub it in there and then it solidifies and just makes your calves look really, really sexy. And strong.
You're getting your medical advice from Aaron Rodgers?
I think he might have mentioned. Aaron Rodgers has been wrong about a lot. I think dairy product on calf muscles was one area where he was right.
Well, he played in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you don't want to do cheese though.
He's got to do the dairy
because I did cheese once and then I didn't wash it afterwards. Supposed to have a waiting period and then you wash and then it kind of you end up smelling like cheese all day. So yeah, not cheese, dairy products. If you want to email me, derek@QuarionSchultz.com, I'll shoot you over a one sheet with some factoids and best practices and all of that. But yeah, that's what I do during the bye week.
You would soak your legs in milk on the bye week?
Not well if it was whole milk. If I was in a bind and it was whole milk, yeah, you wouldn't use 2% or 1%. You need the fat content in there because that's part of what seeps in and makes it healthy. Definitely don't want to do skim. Definitely don't want to do skim.
You wouldn't go on vacation? You wouldn't go on a beach? You wouldn't go lay out somewhere?
No, I'm a professional. I'm not taking a break during the season like that kind of break. I'll take a mental break, but I'm not taking I'm removing myself from the situation. I got to stay in my routine.
You think guys just sleep?
Yeah, I think probably a lot of it. I don't think, in all the years and all of the probably hundreds of NFL players that we talk to, I don't know if I ever actually, or you even asked somebody, hey, what'd you do during the bye?
I think a lot go to a beach.
Yeah.
For a couple days. I think a lot go back to their hometown and go to like their high school football game.
There's a lot of family time that they squeeze out,
right.
I know, because it's really the only time in from basically July.
I wonder if Bernard Ryman stayed over there.
January that you could do that. Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to see how emotional he was in that interview with Stacey Dales. I thought that was great. And then Dio had a ton of people.
Well, he had a good game too, right?
Yeah. Is he a military brat? Is that what it is? What's the tie for Dio in Germany and or in Europe, I guess, in general? I didn't catch that. If it was something obvious that I missed, I don't remember what it was. Derek. But for some reason, Dio's got a lot of family that's kind of spread out around the world, I guess. But he had a huge game with 3 sacks. In fact, that segues nicely.
Was that more about Dio or more about just the state of the Patriots, or both?
Well, I think it was both. Or is it more about everybody eating off the after effects of DeForest Buckner just being an absolute game wrecker? I think it's all of those. But that segues nicely into our hoagie and hero of the week. I have here in my hand the hoagie of the week from our friends at Hoagies and Hops, 42nd and Boulevard, southwestern edge of Midtown. Catering and full menu options at hoagiesandhops.com. This here is the brotherly love, just like two brothers from another mother who love each other, right here on this show. Turkey, ham, salami, provolone, LT oil. Very good. And onion as well. I didn't put onion on yours or oil on yours because I know you don't like it. So let's.
The oil's fine.
You like oil? I'll put oil on it next time. I didn't know you liked oil. I'll put oil on it next time for you.
Derek, either pull a John Kruk or chew before talking.
Well, the problem is that I take a bite. Excuse me. I take a bite, and then you sit there, and don't do anything. Oh, that's a really good beer. You know where the Colts were on Sunday, of course.
What are we doing here?
Colts were in Germany, and in Germany,
Germany, is that what you?
Germany. You say if it's German, you say "und" in front of everything. We've talked about this on the show before. This is und Pilsner, und German Pilsner. This is called Built to Last. A really good Pilsner. In fact, this is a direct quote from Alexis. They reverse osmosis the water. So this is interesting. We're getting very sciencey on the show today, like calf muscle fibers and reverse osmosis on the water. And this is a direct quote from Alexis. She says, and that's what makes it such a good Pilsner for Built to Last. So thanks to Alexis and our friends at Chili Water Tap Room for the delicious beers and this great
what are we
German
doing here?
Pilsner. We're talking about the Pilsner.
Like, are we just throwing all FCC
really
like what out the window?
What are you talking about?
You can't be dropping F-bombs on this show. We're professional broadcasters. Now, unlike you, I still have a broadcast career to worry about.
I didn't drop an F-bomb.
Do we need to re-rack the tape?
Well, it's a it's a direct quote though, so it's not really
So
it's
what?
not really cursing. I'm using somebody else's words.
Derek, do you not listen to the radio when they play like gin and juice?
Like this really is a good effing Pilsner.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. But Alexis said it was it's a direct quote.
Alexis said that?
Yeah.
Why don't you say that into your Alexis and see what it says? It'll say, Derek, watch your mouth.
No, not Alexa, Alexis.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah. And she's great. All the folks at Chili Water Brew.
I'm sure she
awesome.
is.
Yeah, in the tap room.
She didn't expect you to go ahead and just go verbatim there, right?
Now that you're back,
why do I owe you a beer?
You said that you were going to take me to Chili Water Tap Room, bro date. And we were going to watch a game. You said a basketball game because you don't want to sit there with me for an entire football game.
I believe.
I know we have the tape on that.
Okay.
You owe me one.
I believe that's no effing way. By the way, my hero of the week, I have a different hero of the week.
Mine was Dio, by the way.
I figured.
Yeah.
I think Greg has the photo that I sent earlier. We'll see if he has the photo or not for my hero of the week, which requires explanation probably, because you're going to be like, why are we? There's my hero of the week right there, Derek.
Dr. White.
So I want to thank on Saturday evening, the Washington Township Foundation had their annual Bash fundraiser, which is a fundraiser for Washington Township schools. And at that fundraiser, Dr. White was honored for his commitment to Washington Township and his return on an interim basis to help out North Central High School. And it was great to be able to speak about him and contribute to the dedication towards him. A guy that had an impact on so many people, myself included, and so many kids at North Central IPS in Washington Township. Dr. White truly is a hero to me. And so, Derek, I figured, why not? And look, I mean, you want to talk about like just cool looking. Look how cool he is. That's a cool dude, man.
I love the relationship that you guys have. And I think maybe it hits me a little bit more because I have a family full of teachers. And I know what it means to educators to have those people in their life that say, hey, like, you made a real big difference for me. Because I think, when you're a teacher, you kind of you get into the weeds of the day-to-day, and I think you kind of beat yourself up a lot, right? Instead of giving yourself credit. But these educators like Dr. White deserve a lot of credit for not just your life, but think of all the lives that he impacted.
I posted something on Facebook, and like Grady Flatter, one of my classmates, responded and was like, he changed my life. He literally turned my life around. Yeah. And that's the impact he had on so many kids.
And I know you have the framed picture of you and Dr. White from your 50th in the two-bedroom apartment where you live alone.
You went to go see Boo. Is that where you saw it?
Boo didn't want to see me. Boo didn't want to see me.
Smart cat.
Mm-hmm. Your bed frame's broken.
No, I don't have a bed frame.
Okay, well, the whatever holds up your bed is
how much
broken.
exploring did you do?
Well, poor Boo, was hiding under there. So I pulled up.
Oh, you were in the guest bedroom.
Yeah, so I tried to pull up the, hey, come on, Boo, come here, kitty, meow, meow, whatever. And I was like, oh, this bed's all broken to hell.
Yeah, that's the guest bedroom. That's just a.
Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Have you purchased a piece of furniture or anything that would go in your home since 2005?
No, why would I?
Okay. Because just a question.
I'm the only person there other than you to go see a cat that avoids you. So why would I care?
your shelves are all like swag cups
Oh yeah.
from like, Clemson's national championship, orange soda, and like, Indiana basketball 2004 and stuff like that. And then, there's like mattresses on the floor, and I think there's some Sports Illustrateds from like the 80s and 90s that are just kind of around the house. It's very much the bachelor pad.
It's great.
Very much the bachelor pad. I mean, I know you don't even technically live there. That's only where your mail goes.
That's pretty correct. Yes.
But
I got a cat that lives there.
It was an experience. Having a key to Jake's house was an experience.
But it's not totally unkept, right?
I mean, it's clean.
Right.
If that's what you mean, yeah, it's clean. But it's just, I don't know. It's like.
Were you a little bit envious? Just a little bit envious? Like, man, there's some cool stuff in here.
No, because now that my wife decorates the house with like fall stuff, I'm like, I kind of like having like, pumpkins and things like that, like around the house, and like little like waves of grain and all of that. So no, but your house was me when I was 24, probably.
Right. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we come back.
You're literally one of like 4 people that have ever been in it. So consider yourself fortunate.
We have a lot of stuff to get to still. More on the Colts. Is this it for Mac Jones and Bill Belichick? Have we seen maybe the point of no return for Shaquille Leonard?
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about that when we come back on the show. Around the rest of the NFL and plenty of hoop stock still to get to. It's Query and Schultz, episode 161 here on the ISC Sports Network.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back to Query and Schultz, presented by Bailey and Wood. And again, Bailey and Wood, BAWFG.com is the website, right, Derek?
You got it.
For the best in terms of mortgage rates. And again, you're talking about a company that not only is going to do everything they can to give you the best rate in your home, but also make sure that that money that they're getting out of that is going back towards helping out people in Central Indiana.
Yeah, there's nobody that's better in the community than Mike and his team.
Totally.
They're absolutely fantastic. And it was great to have him here in studio. We got to actually just do a show just about sports, which was a lot of fun. We talked about whether his Dolphins were true contenders. I mean, the AFC landscape right now is about as interesting as I can ever remember.
My flight over to Europe, it was kind of fun because it was Shannon and I, and then there was another couple that we just kind of met on the plane that were heading over. He was decked in all Dolphins gear, and they were going over for the game in Frankfurt between the Dolphins and the Chiefs, which Kansas City won, I believe, right?
Yes. And that's kind of been the knock on the Dolphins, is that these big games that they've played in, they've pretty much fallen short just about every time.
But they are, I mean, obviously, boy, I'll tell you, at this point, they're going to win the East, right?
Yeah, I think
they're 2 games clear of Buffalo at this point,
I keep
right?
waiting for Buffalo to turn it on, and maybe they're just not going to.
Yeah, I know.
They're kind of becoming like the AFC East version of the Chargers, where it's like, why aren't you good?
Right.
You should be much better than you are. It's not that they're not good. It's that they should be much better than they are. Let's talk about Shaq Leonard. Had a couple of high-profile whiffs in that game. In fact, they came on back-to-back plays on the same drive. And, he's been vocal about the fact Shaquille Leonard is a prideful guy. I have no problem with prideful people being prideful. He wants to be out there. Deep down, he wants to be his normal self. I think, and I apologize if I brought this up on the show before, but Jake, I know that you remember this. Reggie Wayne, who spent 3 seasons with us on the Reggie Wayne show, and we became really good friends, he and I, and you guys were cordial. He said when we had him back on the show, I don't even remember what year it was, 2017, 18, whatever else. It was that sabbatical. He wasn't back with the Colts yet, but he was retired, where he talked about the training camp with New England. And all off season, he's like, "Oh man, I'm fresh. I'm ready to go. Like, let's go. I'm still me." And then he got out there in training camp and was like, I can't do this. Everything feels right. Like, my brain is operating the same way, but my body can't do this anymore. And I think, and that's to an extreme, right? Reggie Wayne would have been like 37, 38 years old at that point. But, and Shaquille Leonard is still young, but I think he's going through that right now. Like, I don't think he understands, hey, why can't I do this? Because it was so easy for him before the nerve stuff, the back stuff, the neck, the whole deal.
I think, Derek, and I don't, this doesn't make me happy to say this, but I remember, I think 2 years ago, maybe 3, when I was doing a show and we were talking about what player on the Colts, like who were the most indispensable Colts. And I had Shaquille Leonard ranked lower than many people. And they're like, why? And I said, the thing about Shaquille Leonard, he was an unbelievable turnover creator. No doubt about it. But I felt like in terms of his mechanics, a lot of the plays that Shaquille Leonard was making were because things were kind of funneled in and facilitated towards him. Now, his ability to go that extra 2% and get those turnovers was unprecedented and remarkable and worth every accolade that came as a result of it. But I remember saying, if that 2% is removed from him, he is actually, in fact, from a mechanical standpoint, he is an average linebacker. And people were like, you are out of your mind. You're a hater. I don't know that I was correct, but it's starting to feel that way because I get it. It's his body. It's not the poor guy. It's not his fault per se, but clearly whatever little Shaq Leonard at 100% was an unbelievable player, but 95% of Shaq Leonard is actually like, probably 85% of others. Cause I think that just mechanically speaking, there are areas where he lacks. And, certain plays where he's not as effective. And we're seeing it now with his body not able to give him that extra boost. It's like Super Mario Brothers when you get the mushroom and all of a sudden you got the extra boost and then it wears off and you're back to just being a guy. He's kind of just back to being a guy.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, he's Kyle Schwarber. If he's not hitting home runs and making home run plays, he's useless. Right. And I hate to say it like that, but like you'll look at the stat sheet and be like, Shaquille Leonard had 10 tackles. Well, if he has 0 TFL, no fumble recoveries,
tackle for loss,
and no picks, then who cares? Anybody can go out there and do that. Any linebacker can go out there and get 10 tackles for 10 tackles. So I think that's where he's really struggling. He's not impacting the game because he's not making those big splash plays. And he's saying, well, I'm not having the opportunity to make those splash plays. But the problem is that when he's on the field, he's doing detrimental things to that defense. So they have an out this year. After this year, they can cut him with only $8 million in dead cap, and they can save $12 million towards next year. And
it feels like that's inevitable, doesn't it?
And something else, Jake, if they're going to keep Gus Bradley, the other thing is that Leonard's just not a scheme fit anyway.
Right.
Even if he was healthy, he's not the guy that, Eberflus and, early on in his career was being that dynamic playmaker.
Derek, I think that to bring back up a guy that was really good to us, don't get me wrong, but you talk about Reggie Wayne towards the end there. That last year that Reggie Wayne was on the field, even Reggie Wayne would tell you. I mean, it was pretty clear that the step was gone, and you're like, there were...
And he was breaking down physically.
Right.
He had a lot of stuff
he admitted
going on.
it, right?
Yeah.
And you could see when he was out there on the field that it just wasn't the same.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, with Shaquille Leonard, unfortunately, you can see the same thing.
Yeah.
And could his body recover? Sure. But the clock is ticking on when it starts to hit your pocketbook on how long you're waiting.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a comp, and this is hard to do because it's a different sport, but it sort of reminds me of the same thing. Like, Victor Oladipo is still a serviceable NBA player.
Right.
Victor Oladipo is not anywhere close to the player that he was in 2018, and he hasn't been for a long time. And I think that's where we are with Shaq Leonard.
Fair. That's fair.
Like, Leonard might hang on for more seasons. He's still relatively, what is he, 29? He's still relatively young.
Well, he'll get an opportunity elsewhere if he gets released here.
He's just not, when you're not making those big dynamic plays, then I hate to say useless because he's still a serviceable player, but he's not a player that you pay that amount of money to.
Basically, Shaq Leonard, I hate saying this because it's Shaquille Leonard is his name.
Yeah.
He needs to go back to Darius. Not literally.
It is funny how that's kind of the hard cutoff there.
It is.
But the people that are like, well, you should have given him the contract extension. Look, the contract was defensible.
Totally.
I mean, he was an unbelievable player.
No question.
And the Colts like to pay their own guys and reward their own, and that's what they did here. But sometimes, you're going to miss and have bad luck with injuries, and that's exactly what happened here.
Right.
For Shaquille Leonard. I wanted to move up bite or bowl bleep. I do this every couple of shows just to freshen it up a little bit because
Take a bite while you do it.
not everybody hangs out for the entirety of the show.
Bite it or bowl bleep.
Our friends at Chateau Kitchens, chateaukitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook. They're coming over on Wednesday. We have really it's not even phase 2. It's like phase half. We have to finish the basement, which is the staircase, and then they're doing a wet bar downstairs.
Look at you.
Well, it's you know what it's going to have instead of alcohol? It's going to have like juice boxes and stuff like that. It's basically for James. So I will have some alcohol like on the top probably, but it'll be the bottles that have been sitting down in the basement.
You think
for
Chateau
5
Kitchens
years.
could do some work on my place?
On your apartment where you live alone?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't own it. They only do work on properties that you own.
I guarantee I could get it swung.
Yeah, it's a really cool building.
I'm a
I'll say that.
high-profile
It's a neat building. It's historic.
It is cool.
It's cool, and it's a huge apartment. I mean, it's a really big space.
It's cool.
And you've got it's rent controlled, right?
Pretty much. I mean, not literally, but yeah, for the most part.
But I mean, you're paying a rate much lower than if I
Correct.
bought it new.
Correct.
What I would be paying.
I'm the third longest tenant in the building, I think.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
How many units are in there?
40.
Yeah, okay. But it's a neat place over there, and it's gated, so you feel like you keep the paparazzi out and everything like that. Here's what we do with Bite or Bowl Bleep. I give a statement, Jake and I go back and forth whether we buy it or it's Bowl Bleep. Statement 1, the Colts made a mistake not trading up to 1 to get C.J. Stroud. Bite or Bowl Bleep?
100% bowl bleep because they didn't have to move up to number 1 to get him.
Well, yeah, I guess you could have moved up to 2. I don't know, Jake.
You could have moved up to...
Are we sure the Texans would have decided to take the... Would they really trade with somebody in the division to trade down? I don't know if I believe that.
Right.
I don't think the Texans were entertaining the thought of moving down from 2.
Here's what I said yesterday, Derek. The Colts have said definitively that if they had the number 1 pick, they still would have taken Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, they thought he was the best player.
So, when you see what C.J. Stroud's doing, does that mean that A, holy cow, look what the Colts have, or B, they totally misjudged C.J. Stroud?
I'm just going to say C. This is the cop-out answer. I want to know what the Colts have. I don't know that.
Right.
I think this. If I was doing a sports talk,
It better be something though, because C.J. Stroud's pretty darn good.
I agree with that. But I'll tell you this: if I was doing a sports talk show right now in Charlotte, I'd be melting down over this.
Yeah,
because they look like, and again, 9-10 games, however long it's been. This is a very small sample, but the gap between those two so far is gigantic. And Carolina's roster stinks. Houston's not stacked with talent.
Agreed.
Houston's roster is at least a year away.
See, I wait till I'm done. The sandwich is so good, I can't
Yeah.
wait till the break. If you look at, I will go to my grave believing this. Frank Reich wanted C.J. Stroud. He was overruled by the ownership in Carolina. I am convinced of that. Because if you watch Frank Reich during C.J. Stroud's pro day, he looked like you at a Hanson concert.
Yeah, he was rocking out.
I mean, he had the cell phone. He's
Yeah.
taking video. He's up there. They were all about him.
Until they weren't. Yeah. Yeah. You and I both were on Stroud.
Oh.
And whatever. I mean, I've been way wrong. I mean, I thought Trey Lance was going to be a really good pro, and look what happened there. It's all a guessing game. But I think when we had all these discussions, the one thing that I was so worried about with the Colts was that I don't know how you rank them, where you rank them. Like, I think you could have put Young 1, Stroud 3, Richardson 2. I think you could have done that and argued that in the preseason and vice versa and flipped them all around. But I was convinced that one of these guys was going to really hit and one of them was going to really bomb.
Right.
And maybe the Colts got the middle guy.
and you know what? Levis looks like he might be decent. I don't know. I mean,
yeah. Again,
he got out to a great start, and
sample size with him.
I'm looking up to see what he
and
did.
And the Titans stink right now. I mean, the Titans' window slammed shut. They did whatever they were going to do the last couple of years. That was their chance, and now it's Jacksonville and that's really what I worry about. If Stroud's going to be this big star, do the Colts fall even further down the pecking order? Because the Colts in their AFC South history, there's only ever been like one team for them to chase, right?
Right.
Like sometimes it's been Tennessee, sometimes it's been Jacksonville, sometimes it's been Houston. There's never been two.
What did Levis do on Sunday?
Oh, 2 interceptions. He didn't play well. I don't think he threw a tud. 2
That's a
picks, buck
touchdown.
50. Yeah, 50% completion, something
Have
like
you noticed how much passing yards have dipped this year?
that. Just offense in
I
general.
mean, it was like,
is
everybody was
down.
throwing for 350 yards a game. Now you see these games where everybody's on the Jacoby Brissett plan.
You have one 42 to 38 game every week, and all the rest of the games are 17 to 15.
Yeah.
That's what the NFL has kind of become now. So I'll say bull bleep on that. Sorry, long-winded. Statement 2, Texas A&M is not a place where you can win a national championship. Buy it or bull bleep?
Buy it. I mean, who has?
I think they claim one in the 30s, don't they? I agree with you. I keep hearing about, they've been talking about Lanning leaving Oregon. I wouldn't leave Oregon for A&M, would you?
Right. Totally agree.
Why would I do
mean,
that?
money, because Jimbo Fisher just got $76 million
Yeah,
to go home.
I guess, but you can get an absurd amount of money anywhere now. And you can recruit anywhere now. And I get it that Texas is more talent-rich than the Pacific Northwest, but you got a lot of people dipping into Texas. If I'm a kid in Texas, I'm thinking about Alabama, Auburn, UT. I'm thinking about seven different schools before I'm thinking about A&M.
Here's the thing. Here's the problem. Let me tell you one thing about Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher is a good football coach. Maybe not great, but he's a good football coach. He can recruit. He's a good coach.
I mean, he's proved that. I mean, look at the talent that he's gotten there.
He's a good coach, right? Yeah. Indiana now is going to hold on to Tom Allen because they're afraid to pay a $12 million buyout. I think it's $20 million this year. Texas A&M just gave Jimbo Fisher $76 million to walk away. The difference between Indiana and a legitimate football program, and I'm just saying, if they've decided that Tom Allen is not their guy, okay, a football program that wants to win doesn't sit around and wait for finances to iron out and for things to, let's wait till the timing's right. No. If there's a guy out there that you can get that's going to improve your program, you go out and you get him. And Indiana has done this in their athletic department for multiple hires now in basketball, football, whatever it might be. They have a track record of just kind of sitting back on their hands. Go out and get the guy. Jimbo Fisher gets fired at Texas A&M. I looked it up. His average wins at Texas A&M is basically on par with what every coach that's been there since 1930 has done.
Yeah, he was fine. He just wasn't doing what they paid him to do.
Correct.
Yeah.
So because he just got a $76 million buyout, if he still wants to coach, there's the possibility that Indiana comes to him and goes, hey, look, you want to get in the Big Ten, you want to get to what is now the elite conference, you just got $76 million, so we can only give you $4 million a year. Okay. Sure, I'll do it because Jimbo, we want you to have revenge on your mind. We want you to show that you can still coach, and what better way to do it than to pump life into our football program? Yeah. And instead, they're going to sit around and dilly-dally and circle the drain with Tom Allen and wait another year so that they can save money. And then next year, they're going to go 2-10, and the Big Ten, everybody's going to go. Because once the reality is that Oregon and USC and all these teams are in the Big Ten and Washington, then people are going to be like, hey, I don't know. But right now, without them, with only the thought of them being there and not the reality of them being there, it's less imposing. It's still a vision. You got to get somebody while it's a vision instead of the reality. Well,
I worry about them going to Jimbo, though, Jake, because they have, right now, in Tom Allen, they have a great defensive coach who... you take that away, and then suddenly, the floodgates open. Like suddenly you'll be giving up, 600 yards to a Big Ten West team or to a Ball State transfer quarterback or something like that, right?
Or Akron.
Having them give up 50 points. I don't want that. I don't want to see that happen in Indiana. Like that, that would be bad.
Right.
If that happened in Indiana. I mean, A&M, yes, it's a place where you can win a national championship. I don't think it's the program that some people make it out to.
Indiana's problem? Indiana's problem is Indiana has this thought. Why would anybody want to come to Indiana?
Indiana fans have that thought. IU fans I've heard that from.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is, you weren't going to get a date to prom if your entire mentality is, who's going to go with me to prom?
It's always the worst. When we talk about coaches, it's always the worst thing. The worst argument for keeping somebody is, who are you going to get that's better? If the guy that you have is not doing the job, you have to move on. Period.
The answer for that
you have to move on
about anyone.
Yeah, there's no guarantee that the next guy's going to be better, but Derek, you have to move on.
This is my euphemism, or euphemism is the wrong word. This is my figure of speech for all of sports and any aspect of sports you're talking about, any of them. Michael Jordan's shot against the Utah Jazz. You can say he pushed off on.
Yeah, he did.
Byron Russell. Okay, fine.
Shoved him.
Is it Brian Russell or Byron?
Byron.
Russell? But it was spelled Brian.
No,
No,
it was spelled Byron, but it's pronounced Brian, right? Is that I think that's what
I think
it
that's
is.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Either
yeah.
way, Russell.
Yeah.
So he pushes off, he hits that shot, and he hangs like this. And, Chicago with a lead in 98, right?
Yeah. Costas is going crazy because he's
Right.
in the tank for Jordan. Yep.
He was, in that game, Jordan was 17 of 37 from the floor. No one talks about the 20 shots he missed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No one. When it came down to it, he had to keep shooting. And he put his shot up and it went in. If you just sit back and harp on and dwell on and hang on the 20 shots you missed, you're never going to win. And that's Indiana's thing. Well, we might miss the shot. Okay.
Yeah, you got to take it.
Right.
Statement 3, Pacers won't make the playoffs with this defense, Biter Bullblade.
I say Bull Schultz. I think, with this defense, they're probably an 8 seed, but they'd make it. Maybe a play-in, but they'd make
They
it.
have an historic offense right now.
They do.
So
That's
if
the
you're
thing.
if you're going to have an historic offense, that offsets something. I think that's good enough to make the playoffs. But, yeah, if we're worried about the Pacers actually getting somewhere when they get to the playoffs, the defense has to be better than this.
Right.
You can't be giving up 130 every night. Like, they give up 140, and it's like, oh, ho-hum. It's like, giving up 140 10 years ago would have been like front page ESPN.com. You know what I mean? Like, that's a crazy amount of points. And I get it. Offenses are great now, but that's a crazy amount of points to give up. So thanks to our friends at Chateau Kitchens, chateaukitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Twitter. Love that play when we get back. Indiana's greatest rivalry did something that it has never done before. And we will discuss when we return. It's Corey and Schultz, presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group here on the ISC Sports Network.
IUPUI basketball is back. Come witness history with head coach Matt Crenshaw inside Indiana Farmers Coliseum and head coach Kate Bruce inside the Jungle as they usher in a new era of Jaguars athletics. Be there for exciting Horizon League and in-state matchups. Affordable fun for the whole family. Full season tickets are now on sale starting as low as $80. Order today at IUPUIJags.com/tickets or call 317-278-2530. Work hard, make noise, have fun. Go Jags.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood Financial Group presents Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Thanks so much for watching. He's Jake. I'm Derek. YouTube, ISC app, Twitch. Caleb still cares about our Twitch channel. I don't think anybody else cares about our Twitch channel, but if you like Twitch, you can watch us on Twitch. Podcast is still the go-to for everybody, all major platforms. Just search Corey and Schultz for new episodes releasing at 7:30 on Tuesdays every single week. Jake, let's get to our Love That Play. It's brought to you by our friends at Love Heating and Cooling.
Love them. Pardon the pun.
Love-HVAC.com. Chris and John and the rest of their crew will take good care of
best.
you. And whether you're looking to service your furnace or, I don't know, maybe get the last AC check before the winter. That's basically right now because I saw temperatures are about to do this after this week. Give our friends at Love
they
Heating
really?
and Cooling a call. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Like the highs are going to be like high 40s and much more seasonal than what I'll say this, and you'll have a longer memory than I have because you've been here longer than me. This is the nicest, most pronounced fall
I would agree with
that I ever remember
It's the
having
longest
in Indiana.
It's the longest that I can recall, or the latest into the year that I can recall, the colors still being up
yeah.
and this vibrant.
Yeah, like the colors are better than I've ever seen, and I feel like fall started late September this year as opposed to mid to late October.
Right.
Usually the joke that Ash and I make is that like fall's 2.5 weeks, and then all the leaves are down, and then it's over, and then it's winter.
Well,
but this year, we had like a fall.
We also haven't had the driving rainstorms that typically bring them all down.
Yeah,
right?
that too. And I still have to clean up the rest of the leaves while it's still mild outside.
Just mow them.
A great tradition, the Monon Bell Classic.
It is great. It's great.
Wrote a new chapter on Saturday, the first ever overtime game between Wabash and DePaul. To set the scene for you, this was for the league and for the Division III playoffs as well. So it's not just, the Bell itself. Both of these teams could be 2-7, and the Bell is still the Bell. But it was literally a winner go home. DePaul was going for a program record 10th win and an undefeated regular season, and they were life and death with Wabash. There was a missed extra point, 27-all going into the overtime. They have a snap go hit off Will Castor in the overtime. Wabash recovers. All they have to do is score and they win. And DePaul comes back and blocks the field goal. Wabash comes back, kicks a field goal. DePaul's next possession. Castor gets some redemption. A walk-off touchdown to take the Bell. And it was great. Honestly, because it was the first overtime game, it was the first walk-off. Right? I guess you could have had a game-winning field goal at some point. I don't know if that actually existed, but certainly the first overtime walk-off in Monon Bell history. And the IC crew was there, did a great job with it. And Greg Breakstraw had a great call. My buddy Brad Wakamerko on that call as well, who's a proud
so is that the game winner? That's the game winner right there that we're watching?
No. Yes, because the fans are on the field. Vince and Jordan, is it okay to get the middle finger shot here?
Okay.
Let's see if they span in the crowd. Okay, I don't know if JD put that in or not. But
well, we already dropped an F-bomb on the show, Derek. Why stop now?
DePaul celebrating in the Wabash end zone, and I don't know who Cam 3 or Cam 4 was, but it was literally one of the Wabash fans was doing the double bird. And, Cam 4 is trying to zoom in a little bit, and it was like the dude kept moving his hands as he went. And the
Bell game,
DePaul
man.
Players are kind of doing it back too.
The Bell game's
great.
the best.
It's great.
It's the best.
They just
I went to four.
they hate
Derek,
each other.
And when I was in college, I went to the Bell game 4 times.
Yeah. All 4 years of college you went?
All 4 years of college, I went. Well, the 4 years that I was in Bloomington, I went to the Bell game for my buddy Brad Fields 4 years in a row, and the Little Giants 4-0.
Do you lean one way or the other?
I do.
Okay. Do you want to say?
I don't.
Okay, because I also lean one way, but I don't want to say because I don't want to make anybody angry. I really enjoy both programs, and they've got great SIDs at both, and Bill Wagner and Brent Harris, and they've been great partners of, I'll still say ours, even though I'm not with ISC on a full-time basis anymore, but they've been great partners over the last 3 years, and I think I speak for Rake and the rest of the crew. It really is like the highlight of the year. And we do a lot of great,
right.
And I'm going to say we again. We do a lot of great events at ISC, Indiana, Kentucky All-Stars, and USA Basketball, and a lot of cool stuff. But the Monon Bell, man, that 2 years getting to be a part of that was a lot of fun.
I've got great friends and ex that went to DePaul. Obviously, great friends that went to Wabash. Both sides. It's cool both ways.
It's great, and they really do. It never goes away. I have 40-year-old buddies that go and they go to the game and they're still as into it as they would ever be.
Right.
So a great win. Congrats to DePaul. Good luck in the playoffs. Also, Marion is going to the playoffs. They were the co-Mideast champs in the Mid-States, so they are off to the playoffs. That'll be on ISC, and then for their home game at least. And then Indy in the playoffs as well. So we have lots of great. It's so funny because our big division football stinks, but our small division football in this state is great. It's really, really good. Really, really good football across Indiana. Quick college football roundup. I kind of sarcastically mentioned Indiana's loss to Illinois. It's just disheartening. A great performance from Donovan McCulley, who's becoming really starting to come into his own. A very gifted athlete. I don't think anybody ever questioned that, as he was a two-way star at Lawrence North. But Jake, it was still all in front of Indiana. They hold on in that game. They have 2 very winnable games remaining against Michigan State and Purdue, and now it just kind of goes up in smoke.
I'm going to make a prediction that I have absolutely zero intel on. Zero. Don't know anything about the young man. Nothing to base this on other than gut instinct. I'm going to bet you that Trace Jackson Davis' younger brother.
Yeah, Taven
transfers.
Well, yeah. Sorsby's playing at this level. He's clearly the guy now for them. And the play dictates that.
And
it's a tough business, right?
Taven Jackson got he
got jerked around. I don't think they gave him the chance that he deserved.
And it was tough at the beginning of the year when we don't know who our quarterback's going to be. They've just
but you know what?
all the way around.
Sorsby took advantage of his chance. So what are you going to do?
He's played well.
It's a bad luck thing. It's not.
Played well.
I'm not going to sit here and say Taven Jackson is bad. I don't think that. I don't know that. We weren't given a chance to see if he was bad. It's just that Sorsby's been that good that I think he's the guy that moving forward. I was at the Purdue game on Saturday. They're 2-7, and that crowd was amazing. Yeah. It was full.
Well, for whatever reason, Purdue Minnesota is always like the most fun game of the year. It's always like 85 points.
They ran for 353 yards. Maccabee and Tracy both went over the century mark. 8 yards a carry. 600 yards in the win, and it felt like one of those games where, when you've had a disappointing season and you just kind of let it all out, felt like Purdue just kind of let it all out in that game against a disappointing Minnesota team. And then Notre Dame was on bye. College football playoff rankings, we'll see that tonight. Maybe Michigan jumps after winning Happy
Notre
Valley.
Dame play last?
They played Clemson and lost. Yeah.
Okay.
You watched that game. Clemson.
I didn't watch it. I was.
Really?
Well, I was in Luxembourg.
Clemson got on their hands and knees and begged Notre Dame to win that game, to take it from them. Right. They were like, please,
well, I did.
Please take this.
We were in our hotel in Luxembourg, and it was like 9 o'clock at night or something. And I listened, and Maffa fumbles. All they're doing is running out the clock and he fumbles, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. And,
I mean, Jake, they had 6 drives in the second half that I think totaled like 20 yards. I mean, they just kept kind of giving the ball back to Notre Dame, but Notre Dame's so anemic now offensively that they couldn't. It's a lot like I think what teams are doing to the Colts, where it's like we know you're going to run and you have no pass catchers, so you can't do anything else. So we're just going to sell out for that. And Clemson still has dudes enough to do that. Right. So good for them. Good for Dabo. I mean, I guess he got to get his redemption. I didn't really feel like it was a field storm, but maybe that's just like a frustration thing for the fan base.
I don't know. A lot of people don't realize this. At Clemson, after the game, the field is always opened up for people to go down on the field.
Okay.
So even after losses, they go down there.
Okay. Yeah, but this was like a storm because they
always is.
Yeah, they did Dabo, and he was all excited about it, and whatever. Good for Dabo. I think we're in a weird place with the college football rankings because I think you have to put Ohio State ahead of Michigan because of resume, but I don't think anyone thinks Ohio State's better than Michigan. I think you have to put Washington in front of Oregon because they beat Oregon. I don't think anybody thinks Washington's better than Oregon.
Well, they beat them.
And then I think you have to put Texas in front of Alabama because of the head-to-head, but I don't think right now people think Texas is better than Alabama.
Right.
So it's weird
Derek,
where
it's
you have all of this.
Georgia's in, right?
Yeah, barring something unforeseen.
Florida State likely is going to run the table, right?
If they don't, they're out.
Right. Well, of course.
Yeah, I mean, they have to now. The ACC kind of went like this.
So let's say Florida State runs the table, they're in, okay?
Yeah, they're a 13-0 ACC champion.
The winner of Michigan-Ohio State is in.
Yeah, the loser might be in too, depending. But
correct. Yeah. And then it comes down to Washington-Oregon. If Washington – I'm trying to think, would Washington and Oregon have to play again? There is no Pac-12 title.
No, there's no divisions. There's no divisions. So, yes, they would play each other. They'd be the two best teams. Two best teams in the Pac-12.
Okay, yeah. So what happens if Oregon beats them and they split?
Oregon goes. Yeah, Oregon goes. 150% Oregon goes. Yep.
Okay, so then there's your fourth.
Yeah. It sucks, but that's the way that it would go. Yep.
Here's the thing, though. I think a one-loss Michigan or Ohio State team, if the only loss is to the other one, gets in over a one-loss Oregon who redeemed their loss.
I think Ohio State would have a better chance because they had a better non-league. But yeah, it's interesting.
James Madison should be in.
This is one of the first years, Jake. This is one of the first years that I can remember where you're going to have 2 or 3 teams that are left out that deserve to be left out, but normally would be worthy of a national championship.
Right.
Or a chance at a national championship. I guess I should say. It'd be funny if in the last year of the 14 playoff, it's the same as the first year, which was Ohio State, Alabama, Oregon.
You're right.
Florida
State. You're right.
Somebody else pointed that out, but I just thought that was kind of quirky and interesting. Quick hits when we get back. IUPUI Jags report, and we will wrap up here on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgages and a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Back for a final time. Bailey and Wood presents Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's get to our IUPUI Jags report. You want to grab the kitty?
I love it.
And then we got the hat. Look at that. Let me get that. There we go.
Man, I went out to the
anything
women's soccer game at Michael Carroll Stadium, and it was fabulous. Just the entire environment, seeing the boosters that were there, the hot box pizza, watching the warm-ups, watching the game, fabulous. And you want to talk about, and I've said this before, Derek, I'll say it again. I've beaten this drum 1,000 times, make it 1,001. This is IUPUI Athletics is the perfect opportunity at an affordable, family-friendly environment right here in downtown to take young people to go watch Division I college athletics. And in addition to that, just introduce them to the college lifestyle. Let them see what a college campus is, what it means to wear a jersey with your school on it, and branching out and having teammates from different areas, all of it. Everything about it is a win-win. It's the perfect chance to take your young people or anybody down to support a local university.
Amen. Fall sports season wrapping up for some teams.
You got the Jags.
Men's soccer fell in the Horizon semis to Green Bay. They ended a good season at 7-7-5. They actually led that league for a while, a good chunk of the regular season. Men's basketball had a strong second half against Valpo on Friday night, beat the Beacons. It's weird to say that instead of Crusaders.
It is, yeah.
66-56. Bryce Monroe led the way with 20. Vincent Brady II, a cathedral, right, Rake, for Vincent Brady? Yeah, cathedral. Came off the bench to contribute 10 points. Jags continue their road trip tonight at Holman Center against ISU. Women's basketball, tough road game at number 7 Ohio State. That happens when you play some of the power schools. They lost that one 108-58. Jags have a big home game Wednesday. They host Marquette inside the Jungle.
That'd be a big one.
They're at UISC on Saturday. Swimming and diving will host their largest regular season meet of the year. The 2023 House of Champions will run all day Thursday through Saturday inside the Natatorium. 10 other division programs join the Jags this week inside the Nat. Tickets only available on site, so not at IUPUIJags.com/tickets. For swimming, you got to go right to the Natatorium and buy them at the gate. Single game tickets for everything else, men's hoops, women's hoops, all the winter sports now on sale at Ticketmaster, and for all sports at IUPUIJags.com.
Think about this, Derek. If you're a swimmer or diver at IUPUI, is there a better venue in the country that you're going to be able to
in the world? I'm serious, yeah. Like in the world, yeah. It's an incredible facility to have.
Come see the Jags.
Quick hits. IU struggling early. They're off to a 2-0 start. They did not play well against Army. Barely survived that game. Purdue beat a decent Xavier team last night in Mackey in the final version of the Gavitt games. First non-conference test. They're off to Maui. In fact, they're going to be playing in Honolulu, unfortunately, because of the horrible fires for the Maui Invitational. Farewell, Brady Hoke. Ball State alums calling it a career after this season.
Great career. Good job.
Ball State alum and former Ball State coach. One of their best seasons in program history under Brady Hoke. And I'll save the third story for next week because we're running out of time here for quick hits. But it has something to do with an airplane and the airplane taking off and then them realizing that 3 of the windows are open while they're in the air. So they're like, hey, it's awfully loud and cold in here. What's going on? Somebody goes to the back of the plane, never comes back. And then, they realize what was going on. IUPUI Jags Athletics. Bailey and Wood Financial Group, Chili Water Tap Room, Hoagies and Hops, Love Heating and Cooling. Thanks so much to all of our great sponsors. For Jake, I'm Derek. For Rake, Vince, Jordan, JD, et al. This has been Corey and Schultz. We'll see you next time here on the ISC Sports Network.
IUPUI basketball is back. Come witness history with head coach Matt Crenshaw inside Indiana Farmers Coliseum and head coach Kate Bruce inside the Jungle as they usher in a new era of Jaguars athletics. Be there for exciting Horizon League and in-state matchups. Affordable fun for the whole family. Full season tickets are now on sale starting as low as $80. Order today at IUPUIJags.com/tickets or call 317-278-2530. Work hard, make noise, have fun. Go Jags.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, We prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.